When one stops and reflects for just a moment and you think of Caribbean excellence, undoubtedly you have to think of the Helen of the West, St. Lucia, because it is there the birthplace of two of the world's Nobel Laureates. And they happen to have been born on the same date in January. As a matter of fact, they happen to be born on my local Nobel Laureate and my sister Hyacinth, who was born on the 23rd of January. And so every January in St. Lucia, they celebrate the Nobel Laureates. And so joining me this morning is a man who's taken time to look at that and to be able to document that and what it means to us and our development in the region. His name is Dr. Anderson Reynolds. Dr. Reynolds, good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. And January is the month in which St. Lucia turns its attention to its outstanding sons of the soil. There are two Nobel Laureates.
Yes.
Could you share with our audience a little bit about each of them?
Yes, January is definitely the season of our Nobel Laureates. We carry out a month-long celebration. We have Sir Arthur Lewis, who won the Nobel Prize for economics. He's considered the father of development economics as a body of study. And I think he won the Nobel Prize, if I'm not mistaken, in 1979. Mm-hmm. And we have Sir Derek Walcott, who won the Nobel Prize for literature, I think in dates 1993, I suspect. Yes.
All right, here it is now. We have two people from St. Lucia. And I mean, the rest of the world looked on and thought, how could this tiny little island produce Nobel laureates? From your research, what have you found?
Well, that's a question a lot of people have been asking and I'm thinking about, I assume. But it is hard to tell, it is hard to say, except, well, we have a Creole culture and in St. Lucia and I guess the rest of the Caribbean. But in St. Lucia, it's very pronounced because we have the French and the English culture lines side by side. And of course, there is a fusion of African culture and East Indian culture. So I don't know whether this mix of culture, this creolization, whether it gives rise to intellectualism, thought processes, whether it gives rise to great art. And this is also true for most of the rest of the Caribbean. We are punching above our weight, not just in both in literature, in music, in sports. We are contributing more than our fair share to the world in terms of culture.
And we thank you for that. We truly thank you for that. As Caribbean people, we celebrate with you as well. How in January does St. Lucia really mark this month celebrating this Nobel laureate? What activities are organized and generally happen in January?
Well, a lot of activities, but three of the staples that has been in place from the start. We have a lecture, Sir Arthur Lewis Memorial Lecture, where we invite a highly regarded economist to give a lecture, and it is done at a high level, well attended by the Prime Minister, all the cultural elites and the whole society. We also have, the Derek Walcott Memorial Lecture, which again we bring in a literary person in high regard to give a lecture, which again is a very high level activity. All people from all walks of life attend. This year, I'm pleased to say we had Canisia Lubrin, St. Lucian. She was born in St. Lucia, but she moved to Canada at a very young age. And she has won several major literary prizes. So I think she may be, we may well have, in not too distant future, we may well have another Nobel Prize winner.
And
for
we heard it
literature.
first. We heard it from the lips of Dr. Anderson Reynolds that perhaps this lady has the potential to be another Nobel laureate. And so I know that you have spaces in St. Lucia that are opened and named in the honor of these gentlemen. The Derek Walcott Square, I was there at Christmas to be part of
Yes,
the activity,
yes,
the lighting ceremony. And so talk to me a little bit
yes.
about how revered are these gentlemen in St. Lucia, and what does the population feel about their contribution to life?
Well, very much so, because we have been on that celebration path for since quite a while, for decades. So it has become a national staple. The other activity that's a staple, I forget to mention, we have a wreath laying ceremony, very formal, almost like attending a funeral or burial. And it is held, you mentioned the Derek Walcott Square, but it is held at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, our highest level tertiary education. Um, and as you know, the college is named after Sir Arthur Lewis. So, um, and also the schools get involved. The poetry writing competition at the schools. It's the whole island gets involved in the celebration.
Wow. And I
And
like the,
also this,
go ahead.
and the other thing they started at the Sir Arthur Lewis College, they started a book fair, and this year was the second year running, and a fantastic book fair. And the book fair is right next to, there is a Derek Walcott Library
Uh-huh.
right there, and so forth. Fantastic.
Fantastic indeed. That's a really good word to describe what is going on there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And so when one
And we
reflects
had
for
over
just
45, we had over 45 authors participating in that book fair,
yeah,
all
well done.
solutions.
Well done. And you continue to do so outstandingly. Let's reflect for just a moment on the life of Sir Arthur Lewis. He was born in 1915 and he died in my lifetime, 1991. So I knew the man. I heard more about the man.
Yeah,
And while
yes,
I might not have
yeah,
been able to quite understand till later a lot of his contribution, he's produced a lot of literary work. He's the only black man in the world to ever receive a Nobel Laureate Prize for economics. That means a lot. When you
yeah,
reflect on his body of work and his contribution to
yes,
understanding economics and how political parties today still to browse his work for direction, talk to me about what his
yes.
work has done for politics in the Caribbean and economies of the Caribbean.
Well, his work continues to be very relevant, because his major contribution was his dual sector model, where you move labor from low productivity, low wage sector, which was the agricultural sector, to manufacturing, where there is greater labor productivity and higher wages. Um, so this was his major contribution to understanding structural transformation. But if you broaden that concept, it is very much relevant today, because today we have AI coming into being, and we are starting to experience another kind of structural transformation, where resources and labor may be moving from traditional sectors to AI related industries or economic activities inspired by AI. In St. Lucia, it was very relevant, because we moved from Sir Alpha Lewis talked about moving from agriculture to manufacturing, but our manufacturing, although we are the most diversified manufacturing economy in the Eastern Caribbean, it is still relatively small. It is our service sector, tourism and financials, that now it represents the lion's share of the economy. So really, Alpha Lewis, even though he didn't talk about services and financial services, tourism, his theory is very much relevant, because we moved from agriculture to tourism and service industries. So when you broaden his concept, it is very much relevant. And in China, it is being done. His theory, his model is being applied in at a grand scale because China is a gigantic country. So China's development, amazing economic growth development, has been based on moving people from agriculture, from the rural areas into the urban areas, and to manufacturing and high tech um, enterprises, which is exactly the kind of so which is exactly what um, Sir Arthur Lucy's theory brings into play.
You know, you reflect on him for just a moment and you think, to be so forward thinking at a time when the rest of the world was so way behind in that thought, to be able to produce a body of work that would advise generations to come. Talk to me about the humility of the
Yes.
man and the human nature of the man, because we know him for his work, but who was he outside of work?
I know more about his work than his than his personality, but I think if I have to, when I look at us as Caribbean people, um, I think we are very humble people. I don't think we like to toot our horns. We are very much different from the North American persona, and we like to understate who we are and what we do.
Yes.
I suspect Sir Arthur Lewis was very much in that vein. Yes, very humble, very understated, and so forth. Like many of us in the Caribbean,
I know. We're quiet about the big things that we do.
we are,
But, the world
yeah,
saw the big things that he wrote. And so the world recognized him for those outstanding publications over time and his contribution to understand the economics of life and how we can all understand how to apply those economics of life to every single thing we do. One of his publications that was released in 1978 looked at the growth and fluctuations, which is something that we're managing right now in the Caribbean. It was a major historical analysis of economic cycles in industrial economies. The Caribbean is challenged
yeah,
today by that. And so when you reflect for just a moment about how still his work is reflected on for guidance, it just shows to you how big his brain was and how forward
yes,
thinking his trajectory was.
yes. Um, yes, and of course, the world continues going through economic cycles. Sometimes it is sparked by, say, a war in Ukraine. Um, sometimes it is sparked by outside shocks, external shocks, and we here in the region we are very much a victim of what happens externally in
Yeah.
the US, at the outside world, because of our small outward looking economies. So we are a victim of what's happening, very much what's happening externally. Maybe the advent of President Trump might be a perfect example of how vulnerable we are to external shocks and so forth.
And that was written
So again,
about by Sir Arthur Lewis. Isn't it just funny? Life has such a
yeah,
cycle that here it is, a
yeah,
man gave us a blueprint. A Caribbean man, a St. Lucian, gave us a blueprint for how we can manage situations like these well ahead of its time and our time indeed. Or the people of the Caribbean are writing, the people of the Caribbean are documenting, the people of the Caribbean are publishing, the people of the Caribbean are sounding their voices all across the world. Dr. Anderson Reynolds is one such. And so we're happy to have him not just as a Caribbean man, but as a St. Lucian who understands the contribution of Nobel Laureates to the world and to the Caribbean and the importance of writing and documenting. And so, Dr. Reynolds, I want to look at you for just a moment because I understand you are also a
yes.
writer. You published. So talk to me a little bit about what your work over time.
Oh yes. Well, so far I've published 9 books, and in several genres. I've published 2 novels. All the books are set in Saint Lucia and are about Saint Lucia. I've also written 2 memoirs, one focusing on my mom, the other on my dad, and I published 4 books of that focuses on St. Lucian history, politics, and society. So I publish both memoirs, fiction, and social and political commentary.
Right, we're just sharing with our folks on the screen some of the work that you've produced and put out, so that when we
Yes,
go search, we
thanks.
know what to look for and we know what to find and the kinds of stories that you're telling as well. And continuing the tradition of writing, which is what the Caribbean has suddenly found its way doing, which is exciting, I think, at this time of our lived
Yes,
experience, and more people are putting out the works of the Caribbean.
yes.
One of those that we want to continue talking about, as I told you before I took the break, was Derek Walcott. Derek Walcott is a name that is so well known across the region for the work that he's produced. And while some might think, but it is not what we call intellectual in terms of economics and politics and the philosophy, his work tackled all of that. Talk to me about what you found about his work.
Well, yes, his work goes to the very essence of our society, our culture, who we are as a people, where we came from. For example, a lot of his writing was about the relationship between empire and and provinces, between Great Britain and the other European powers and St. Lucia, and what that meant to our society, to our culture, and to who we are as a people. Well, this is very relevant today. We have a perfect example of an empire, the US, and having a tremendous, with a new president in office. Suddenly the power relations has changed, and we are all scuttling for cover. We very vulnerable, and so Derek Walcott work is applicable to that. His Another aspect of his work was he really looked at, he was really concerned or interested in the our mixed heritage and our identity struggles, the kind of mixed heritage and identity struggle inherent in our Caribbean society, creolization. This was very much a part of his work, which, and that goes to the very heart of who we are as a people, our Creole identity, who are we as a civilization. Um, and his work encompasses all of that, and repeatedly, and so forth. You cannot miss those aspects if you read his poetry. In terms of identity, let me just read just one verse from one of his poems. I'm just a red nigger who loved the sea. I had a sound colonial education. I have Dutch, nigger, and English in me, and either I'm nobody or I'm a nation. So this just four lines of poetry goes to the heart of our situation in the Caribbean, and his poetry is peppered with such insights.
And then I like the way you said it, peppered, because in peppering, he didn't mince words. He said it as he saw it.
Yes,
And you got it as he said it. And so there's so much
yeah,
that the Caribbean has studied from Derek Walcott, what he's produced, and his work is so recognized that UNESCO acknowledges it as well. The body of
yes,
work produced by Derek Walcott, that in itself must have made St. Lucian's hearts burst with pride and joy.
yes. We really look um, out to him. For example, when he passed away, our world shifted. I felt it. I was in a, going forward, I'm going to be in a very different world, a world without Derek Walcott. The only other author or person I felt that way was Toni Morrison, the African American Nobel Prize winner for literature. So our world shifted. And I think he has influenced a lot of our writers and poets. For I can think of, they themselves admit it. And when you read some of their work, you could see the Derek Walcott influence. And in terms of the whole world, he's a major, I think, influencer in terms of literature the world over, and he was very unique in a sense because of our Creole, our French Creole and our English lying
Yes.
side by side. Derek Walcott poems were infused with Creole and so on. And it was very much a part of his writing. Also, for example, his plays infused a lot of folklore, Saint
Hmm.
Lucian folklore, and so forth. And according to Canisa Lubrin in a Derek Walcott lecture, she talked about the role or the impact of folklore on the creative imagination, and she gave a very interesting lecture, uh, and she quoted a lot out of Derek Walcott to bring her point across. Yeah.
You know, when you said that, right, I was actually thinking, you know that you've done it when your work, your written work, is moved to a play. Shakespeare started with literature,
Yes.
and Shakespeare became productions. And Derek Walcott's
Yeah.
work was written in such a way that the creative mind opened up big enough to be able to say, we can see how the energy from this, the movement in this, let's put it on stage. And so over time, a lot of his work was also used on stage. But it's also, as I said, studied as part of the Caribbean literature curriculum for a lot of Caribbean schools today. Because
Yes.
there's a lot still to be learned from everything that he spoke about.
True. Yes. Not just Caribbean. I think the world over.
Hmm.
And a lot of his plays are performed by even theaters outside of the region,
Yeah.
because he was a major playwright, a major theater. I mean, he started this the Trinidad theater company.
Hmm.
So and let me just mention in the 1950s, Saint Lucia had a arts guild, that arts guild, people like Derek Walcott, his brother Wardrick Walcott, and a few others, they really sparked a St. Lucian cultural renaissance. In that period, they led the way in terms of West Indian theater. Um, I don't think enough is said about this period, where this period, which I consider we had a St. Lucia Renaissance akin to the Harlem Renaissance in the U.S.
Talk to me about your view of the state of play as it relates to literature and writings and productions and in St. Lucia. Are you satisfied, Dr. Reynolds, that, the energy you saw then is equated in the energy you see today, or do you see more energy for writing and productions as compared with the years before?
We have a lot of writing taking place. As you know, the technology has facilitated
Yeah.
that print on demand. Um, so we have, I'm beginning to think we have more writers than readers.
Yes.
Yeah, uh, but Canisia Lubrin and we have also noticed it. Well, one of the biggest problems we face in Saint Lucia is that there is a lack of structure
Mm.
in terms of supporting and advancing the arts, especially literature. Um, most of our we don't have any traditional bookstores anymore. Um, so that's that we don't have a prop in Saint Lucia. We don't even have a proper theater, and that's something I must commend Barbados. I was in Barbados for Carrie Festa,
Hmm.
and it was very. I think I attended several plays and different theaters. I think you'll have like 4 or 5 proper theater houses in in Saint Lucia. I don't think we don't even have one. So I was pleased to see. So I think Saint Lucia, we can Barbados have certain things we need to emulate.
All in time, all in time. So look at your
Yeah.
work now, your work, Dr. Reynolds, and do you see your work translating to the stage over time?
Um, Well, some people, yes, the novels probably.
Hmm.
People have been encouraging me. Why don't I go into the movies, turn them into movies?
So what's
But
your answer to that question? Why don't you do it? What's your answer?
well, it's twofold. Well, making movies is such a involved activity. You have to work with so many different people,
Hmm.
and it's a much more expensive undertaking, and it is not clear to me how you will recoup your investment in it. So for me to do movies, I think I
A
would need
backer. A backer.
a backer.
Financial backer.
It will have to be financed. That's my first part. The second part
Yes.
is, well, the Oracle didn't tell me I need to be I should be doing movies. All what the Oracle tell me is I should be writing books, putting out books. The Oracle didn't even tell me that I'll be writing books and I'll become a bestseller or it will make me a lot of money. So my once I am writing the books, putting them out, it I'm basically satisfying the Oracle.
We're satisfied. We're truly satisfied. You know, Dr. Anderson
Yeah,
Reynolds,
yeah.
again, we want to go online and look for your work. Your work is available on Amazon, I believe, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, all of them,
All of them. All of
both
them. He
as
has,
ebook,
go ahead.
both as Kindle and print.
See?
Well, I was going to say both. Yeah.
So, folks, just look for the name Dr. Anderson Reynolds. Dr. Anderson Reynolds. Dr. Anderson Reynolds is his name. He's from St. Lucia. He's produced 9 books so far that are available. Some of them are lovely indeed. A few biographies for his parents, his mommy and his daddy, and then some other love stories and short bits as well. They are there for our consumption as Caribbean people. We want to encourage more and more of you. Look, that's what he looks like. St. Lucia at a crossroads, Dr. Anderson Reynolds. I'm looking for his face. I'm looking for his face right there. That's one of the books. Is that one of your books?
Yes, that's the latest.
Ah,
It is not even in St. Lucia yet. It is on Amazon, so I'll be getting it this week in St. Lucia, and then I'll go out and do a book promotion.
okay. St. Lucia at the
And I would like
crossroads.
to come to Barbados. I would also like to. I would like you all to invite me to Barbados to come and do a book event
Hint,
because I
hint
want
to those of you listening.
I want to regionalize and
I, I,
internationalize my
I
book
agree with
writing.
you. But
I've, I've done a few international tours where I've visited several places in the US and UK and Canada. I've done that twice.
so why
So
not the
I
Caribbean?
would
Why
be
not
happy to,
conquer the
yeah,
Caribbean?
exactly.
Indeed.
Yeah. Again, President Trump is basically telling us and showing us we really need to focus more on ourselves, interacting more with each other, in addition to Africa, and reduce our singular focus on the US because see how vulnerable we are.
Yes, indeed so. Well
Yeah.
said. Dr. Anderson Reynolds is his name. St. Lucia at the Caribbean Crossroads. We can see that book soon, and we're looking forward to reading that ourselves. But there's so many other works that he's put out already. I want to encourage all of you viewing to go check his work out, purchase a book. It's in soft copy and Kindle form. It's just there. So get a copy indeed and engage more and more in the works of the people of the Caribbean. We spent time this morning talking about 2 of St. Lucia's Nobel Laureates, Dr. Derek Walcott and Sir Arthur Lewis. But there are more. We're expecting Dr. Anderson Reynolds to be there soon, to be among those listed in the pantheon of greats coming from St. Lucia. So we want to commend you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.
I'll be happy for a repeat.
Not a problem at all.
I'll be happy to come back again.
Not a problem. Thank you so much indeed. His name is Dr. Anderson Reynolds. He's from St. Lucia indeed. He took some time talking to us a little bit about those 2 Nobel laureates, but also about his work, his seminal work that he's produced and published, which are available for our consumption. Ladies and gentlemen, get them. Get them today. Read for yourself. Get to know more about ourselves through the writings of the people of the Caribbean.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.